And welcome sports fans to today's Roundtable. We've got a big show lined up for you today. Of course, we're going to get to some high school football results, also get into some volleyball from the last few days. And we'll have Jeff Bullock, the football coach for the Portageville Bulldogs, in with us today. Talk about their game last night with the Chaffee Red Devils. Also talk about their season thus far and off to a great start. Have the Portageville Bulldogs gotten off to in these first 4 weeks. So we'll have Jeff Bullock on here momentarily, so be sure to stick around for that. And also we'll be talking about some high school or college football matchups today, even pro football for the weekend at the tail end of our program, and also get into those state rankings for Missouri and football and volleyball. So a lot to get to today, and we want to invite you to join us each Saturday morning right here on YHC live at 10 a.m., replayed at 4 and 8:30, and replays through next Tuesday. So be sure to tune in each Saturday morning here on YHC. And we'll take your emails over the air. Be sure to email us, sports@yhctv.com, and we'll be sure to include you in our conversations here on YHC, the Sports Roundtable. So be sure to email us. And we'll go ahead and move on to some scores from last night, starting out with high school football. And we'll take a look at Crothersville and Dexter to lead off, and Crothersville end up with a sizable win over the Dexter Bearcats last night, and it was a close game through 2 quarters. Crothersville was only up 13-7 at half. Dexter was hanging tough, and it was just all Crothersville in the second half, moving on with that 35-7 victory. And that's been a good matchup in the past few years. I know last year, going back to last year, I believe that was a 56-55 game somewhere, isn't it? Both teams scoring in the 50s. It was a great game that we had here on YHC last year, but too much for the Bearcats this year. They return some good players. Dexter graduating 18 seniors doesn't help when going up against a sizable team and the Crothersville Tigers, and they've been banged up over the past few weeks. The Dexter Bearcats have, and losing one of their wide receivers, Cody Neldon, for the year, so makes it awful tough to respond with a tough team like the Crothersville Tigers. And moving on to some other games, we have Portageville over Chaffee, 21-6, and Portageville having a little tough effort, turning the ball over a few times last night, but still come out with a win over the Chaffee Red Devils. And we'll have Jeff Bullock on here momentarily to talk about that game with Chaffee last night. Also, we've got Hayti big over East Prairie, 72-6, and Hayti put a big number on the Eagles last night. And Hayti, after dropping the first few games, coming back with 2 straight wins, starting to put a fine season together down there once again in Hayti. Also, we've got Malden over Scott City, 36-26, and Malden coming back off a loss to Portageville, looking good against Scott City last night, 36-26. And we've got Charleston over Nemadera County Central, 14-10, and Charleston hanging tough in their early games, taking a few losses, but I think they're starting to come around with their program. Nice victory over the Nemadera County Central Eagles last night. Prairie Gould defeating Kennett. Prairie Gould, Arkansas beating Kennett 48-27. We've got Jackson over Poplar Bluff, 41-14. Jackson putting the fine season together thus far, and they've struggled over the past few years, but nice victory over the Poplar Bluff Mules last night. Looks like they just might be on their way back. And we've got Fort Zumwalt East over Cape Central, 21-7. And we've got Fredericktown over Perryville, 47-7. Big win for the Fredericktown Black Hats, and Perryville struggling this year. They've really had a hard time competing well thus far this year. So looks like it's going to be a tough year for the Perryville Pirates. And also it was Piggott defeating Palestine Wheatley. I believe that was 36-6 last night. Nice victory for the Piggott Mohawks against Palestine Wheatley. And moving on to high school volleyball from Thursday night, and it was Dexter defeating Bernie in 3 sets, and we got some footage here from Thursday night's contest. Dexter winning the first set 25-15, no problem, but almost winning in 2 sets as Bernie responded with a nice spike there and winning the second set, going to over 25 points. and it was eventually Dexter winning with that serve in the net, winning 2-1 at the Bearcat Events Center Thursday night. So Dexter off to a really nice start to their season, and I think the only losses they've had is in these tournaments they've had up in Cape Girardeau. So they've had a really nice run. Bernie, which we'll talk about a little later once we get into the state rankings. They're in the top 5 in the state rankings for this week, but they've had a tough week. They had 3 straight losses, and we'll talk about that once we get into the rankings. But Bernie, a very fine team, should be very good going forward this year, but Dexter on a nice roll themselves as well. Also, we've got other matches. Malden over Twin Rivers 2-1. And New Madrid County Central defeating Oran 2-1. And the last match we have here, Kennett defeating Portageville in 2 straight sets. And those are the results from Thursday night in high school volleyball. So you want to tune in each Saturday. We'll have more to talk about volleyball in the weeks ahead. We'll have a few coaches in the next few weeks, so be sure to tune in here for volleyball results here on the Roundtable. And that's all the sports we have for you today, all the results we have for you. And we're going to take a break, and we're going to bring on Jeff Bullock, Portageville football coach, talk about their win last night and also their 4-0 season so far that they've accrued this year. So we'll be back with Jeff Bullock coming up.
My country takes of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let
Welcome to NFL Total Access,
the show that takes you inside the locker room and down on the field. With inside access to all 32 teams all year long. NFL Total Access, Monday through Saturday, only on NFL Network.
NFL Network, where football season never ends.
In addition to unlimited calling, New Wave telephone users have a wide range of great phone features available. And now with the help of New Wave Internet, they're even easier to use thanks to our convenient online phone manager. Just log on to your MyWave portal. Now phone features like call forwarding can be set up instantly from any computer. Reliably activate or deactivate your call forwarding. And even set your home phone to ring once when a call is forwarded. Home telephone service made even better with New Wave Communications. Call today.
Southeast Missouri Mutual Insurance is celebrating our 100th year. We started protecting rural farmers way back in 1910, ensuring folks no one else would. Southeast Missouri Mutual Insurance has been a family business for 4 generations, and we continue that tradition today, providing solid home, farm, and commercial insurance at very competitive rates. When the ice storm hit us, we were out there with you. All of our claims were processed within days, and we will continue to provide the best coverage and the best service for the next 100 years. Southeast Missouri Mutual Insurance, a century of service.
And now we're along with Jeff Bullock, football coach for the Portageville Bulldogs. And Jeff, it's good to have you in with us today.
Hey, appreciate you having us up, Tyler, and all you do, not just for Portageville High School, but all the local schools.
Sure,
so
we have a lot of fun.
Thanks a lot for that.
Yeah.
So.
And you had a game last night with Chaffee Red Devils, and they've been good over the past few years. They got a great coaching staff on the other side there, a couple head coaches from years past. So Chaffee Red Devils never an easy task anymore.
Oh no, we kind of joke when we talk about with the kids. We told the kids that out of all the weeks, we can promise you we're not going to out coach the opposing team this week. They Coach Vickery and Coach DeMint and some of the other guys they got there. They kind of got the Mount Rushmore coaches up there. So those guys have my utmost respect and hey, they kind of put me through coaching 101 last night. We were very fortunate to come away up there with a win. And we had a kid go down with a cramp late in the fourth quarter, and it happened to be on her sidelines over there. And I looked up and I saw Coach Vic and Coach Schmidt sitting over there, and I looked up at him and said, "Man, let's hurry up and get this over and let me get out of here." Because we just want to load up on that bus for the win and go back to Portageville. So,
right.
And we were fortunate to do so.
Sure. You got the win last night, 21-6 over the Red Devils, and got off to a nice start, 4-0. And let's just talk about that game last night. I think you had some turnovers last night. You certainly didn't want to come across, but a win's a win.
A win's a win. I think we got looking at film when I got home last night, and I think we laid it on the ground 8 times. We only lost it twice, but when you drop it, you lose all momentum. I think we had a dozen penalties. We shot ourselves in the foot so much we started shooting the guy next to us in the foot. We ran out of space on our foot. So and again, a lot of that goes to Chaffee. Their kids played hard. They were ready. We're honest. We're kind of a one-dimensional team. We're going to run, and we're going to run powers at you. And if you can stop us, you're probably going to beat us. And if you don't, hopefully at the end of the night, we're going to have a touchdown or 2 more than you. And Chaffee's kids did a great job. And fortunately for us, we were able to jump out and get up to 14 in the first quarter, and went in at halftime 21-7, and basically just played to a standstill in that second half. So again, very grateful for a win. When you can learn something from a game and not play great and still come out with a win, you're fortunate. So we got a lot to work on this coming week for sure.
Sure. And talking about that running game you got 3 backs back there that you can hand off at any time, with Daniel Allen, Deion Foster, Dominique Walker. So you got a nice variety of backs there. Allen's more the physical runner, and Dominique and Deion more versatile. So you got a pretty good backfield there this year.
Very, very talented group. And we've also got a 4th running back that we've really not ran a lot because he's actually playing defensive tackle for us, named Denzel Simmons. But no, all 4. I know there's a lot of. I know the Monroe kid at Crothersville gets a lot of notoriety, and deservedly so. And Scuddy down at Malden's he's a great running back. But I've got 4 individuals that they'd all be the featured back on most teams, and they're very unselfish. They all root for each other, and like I said, at any given time, any of the 4 can beat you, and they all can do it in different ways. They're all extremely quick, and some kids are more physical than others, and some are more elusive, and we're very fortunate to have them. It does make it a little bit tougher for people to key on just one of the kids for sure.
Sure, and you're off to a 4-0 start. You got nice early victories with Kennett, Malden, and I'm going to be missing a few here.
We got St. Pius X.
St. Pius there in week 1.
Yes, sir.
And last night with Chaffee. So you defeat some bigger schools, like Kennett.
Right.
And even Malden. It's going to help you out in those standings come down at the end of the year. So at least you got some nice wins when it comes to the classifications early on.
Oh, yeah, and really where we're at with the program, just any win's a good win. We've been down for a few years, and I think that's probably one of the biggest things that our coaching staff, which I want to mention my assistant coaches, Gerald Pickering and Red Swims, Ramon Willis, and then on the weekends I have Andy Matthews and Jared Allen. They come over and go up in the booth and help us out. But those guys have done an extremely good job. And as much as about X's and O's, it's just been about just attitude and just understanding. When you've been down for a few years, when things go wrong, it's kind of easy to kind of go, oh, here we go again. So we've probably done as much psychology as we have X's and O's. And I'm probably not a very good X's and O's guy, and I know I'm not a psychologist, so we've been very fortunate. But we got a lot of good kids, and like I said, I think I've probably been given way too much credit by that community over there, which I'm extremely proud to be a part of now. But it's the kids and just the community itself that they want to do well, and man, they're so supportive. So I couldn't ask for a better situation for sure.
Sure, man. You've been at Holcomb the past few years, and now you're at Portageville for your first year in principal and head football coach there. So you're making a transition down there, and been out of football for a while, I believe, too.
13 years. 13 years. We left and went to Holcomb in 99, 2000, after being at Malden for 7-8 years, and had a great run. That was my hometown, and I loved it, and had been there until this year when we actually physically moved to Portageville. So Malden was home, and got a lot of great friends and family there, and coaching last Saturday against Malden, it was a strange feeling, and I laughed with Joel and Kevin and Josh and told them, I said, I always thought I kind of would look forward to coaching against my hometown, but I said, I've been physically ill for about 2 days, and I was so glad when that was over with. And then in leaving Holcomb, it was extremely tough. That became home for us. And I pulled a 10th grader and a 7th grader out of schools, and actually a 3rd grade teacher went with me that happened to be my wife, and I'm extremely grateful for them for the opportunity too, because a lot of people don't realize when they think when you make a coaching change or you make a change, they forget that all the family that's involved. But again, the community's been so just overwhelmingly warm to my, not just myself, but my wife and my children, and made them feel at home. It's been a really smooth transition, and like I said, hey, we got a lot of friends we left behind in Holcomb and Malden, and we miss them, and they've been super supportive of us. I get texts nonstop on Friday nights after games, and loaded up with folks from Holcomb and Malden just congratulating us, and like I said, so it's kind of like we got 3 little communities rooting for us.
Sure.
So it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, Portageville community, a great community, and rich with sports tradition. So it's just all around a great community to be in.
Yes, sir. It's you walk down the hall, and I happen to be fortunate enough. When I need advice at times on not necessarily coaching as far as X's and O's, which he'll give it to me there as well. But just when you're dealing with kids, when you can walk down the hall and you got a 5-time state champ and sitting down in another office that you can sit down and talk to with Coach Bidwell, and just kind of say, hey man, I'm frustrated. Here's what what do you think? And you get his opinion, which he's also a very knowledgeable football guy. He's a lot of people don't know it. He was a football player in high school, So, but I'm very fortunate. Mr. Allred, the superintendent, is very supportive. The school board, and again, just the whole community just wants to see our kids just do well. And it's we've been fortunate. We're 4-0, but I really don't think they measure us necessarily by wins as much as just by effort and how our kids conduct themselves. And again, I just. I know I've said it 2 or 3 times. You couldn't ask for a better situation for me personally.
Good deal. That's great. And talking about your team, you're going to be going forward, and just talk a little bit about you coming back into coaching. If you've been out at 13 years, the game's changed quite a bit since then. You're seeing all this spread formations, that we've typically seen more at the college level. It's worked its way into high school. So just talk a little bit about how it's been. 13 years coming back to the game.
Oh, it's definitely changed. I think probably the one constant is it's just kids, and it's and I don't think it matters if it's at Portageville or what school. And I think probably one of the things that's probably the administrative experience has helped me probably the most, and it's just trusting my assistants to do their job. And maybe if I would have jumped in a head coaching position when I got out. It might have taken me a little bit longer to trust people and not want to micromanage everything so much. But the administrative experience has taught me, hey, really, it's about the team you put around you. And again, I think maybe the thing that's helped us be successful is yes, while the game's changed, it's still about just working with kids and trying to get each and every kid to be the best they can be and understand their role. And not every kid gets to be the quarterback. Not every kid gets to touch the ball 25 times a game. But even some kids that may not get to step on the field on Friday night, they're vital to our success, and it may be what they do Monday through Thursday for us. And every kid's valued, and we hopefully we do our best to make those kids understand that. But yeah, X's and O's wise, it's definitely different. I've laughed. Josh Bullock, the coach, is assistant coach at Malden. He played quarterback for us in high school, and we. Back in the late 90s, we kind of ran a lot of spread before it was actually spread. We ran a lot of 3 and 4 receiver sets with Josh back there. And he laughed when he started scouting film on us because we're basically double tight bone. We're kind of 1970s and early 80s football right now, And it's just because I feel like that's what puts us in the best position to be successful. And I also think it also bleeds over on defense. I think we got a really physical defense. And I think when you line up every day and your head banging like that, it's going to bring that out in your kids. So I think that helps us. And where the spread first came in and everybody kind of had to adjust to the spread, I think it's kind of the opposite now. Coach DeMint laughed with me last night. He says, man, had to prepare for you different than everybody else because everybody else is going 3 and 4 wide. And he said, we get up there, you're double tight bone, so it kind of changes it up. So it's kind of, I guess we're so old-fashioned. Like, people may make fun of us and look like we're, pee-wee football, but, hey, we do what we can do. And I'm not smart enough to run the spread. That wristbands and all that stuff, man, I get looked at and I get lost. And they'll be throwing flags on us. So, man, I'm just like, hey, run the power, So, and like I said, to this point, we got the right kids, and it's worked pretty good.
Good deal. Yeah, it certainly has. You got out to a 4-0 start, and it seems like the personnel you have, the different types of running backs you can use at different times. You got some size up front, so I think it fits your personnel.
Right. And our line struggled the last couple of weeks, I'll be honest. And we've had some kids out. We lost our our center Jake Bracey tore his meniscus a couple of weeks ago, so we've been without our center, and basically we moved one of our backup tight ends, Derek Priggle, who had never snapped a football before last Thursday. He started at center for us last night and really did a good job. We had a couple mishandled snaps and bobble snaps, but that's to be expected when you've had a kid that's never done it. But he's just a hard worker. One of our starting guards, Caleb Gooch, was out with a concussion. He suffered a concussion last week. And then we're starting to get Nate Bessinger back, who's he's our senior guard, and he's had a high ankle sprain. So, we went in last night basically with our interior lineman out. Now, Nate came in and played some series for us and really didn't necessarily need to, but we were just in a spot at times where, hey, we had to have some help, so he kind of gutted his way through it a little bit. But, we get everybody healthy, but like I said, truthfully, our line struggled a little bit, and we're going to have to improve if we want to continue to keep winning and hopefully play in the playoffs.
And what's so important for you all, especially with a small school playing in Class 1 level, you don't have a whole lot of kids on that sideline, so any injuries you have, it's going to be pretty thin replacing them.
Oh, I think we started the season off with 34 kids, and I think last night we dressed out 29 because we had 4 or 5, like I said, that was just in blue jeans on the sideline hurt, and and no doubt, and even really 2A football anymore, 1A, and the lower half of the 2A, it's hard. You can't really afford. Fortunately, we've got about 14 or 15 linemen and about 9 are upperclassmen, and physically there's not a big drop off. Really, right now the biggest thing we're fighting with some of the kids we're having to put in is just their lack of knowledge, because they didn't really, during practice when you're not out there with the first team, it's kind of easy to go over and get a Gatorade bottle and sit and talk about, hey, I'm gonna go fishing, or you see old Susie today, how pretty she was. So there's not a lot on your mind. Then on Friday nights when we blow a whistle and tell you to get in there, and you get out there and you look like Johnny, the third grade reader out there. It's a little scary at times. Yeah. So really right now it's probably more mental than it is anything with our subs. But hopefully we're getting ready to get some kids back healthy and kind of be able to slide them in, and hopefully this will make us stronger. Some of those kids that have had to play in the last few weeks. So
sure,
we're getting there. So we'll just see how it plays out as we go along.
Sure. And looking at the weeks ahead, you've got Hayti on the road next week, and that's always a tough game there. Hayti's got a great tradition in football, and they've taken a few losses early in the year, but they've bounced back the past few weeks. Big win over East Prairie last night, putting 70 on the board. So you'll have a tough test next week.
Oh yes, sir. They've got one of the. We've not been able to really see much on them because we just kind of playing week to week. One or two of the scout films we've had Hayti as the opponent, so we got to look at them just a little bit. They've got a really great athlete at quarterback down there, and he kind of makes them go. I'll be honest, I'm kind of hoping they're going to be wore out. He scored 72 points in a week. Man, I'm hoping maybe they're tired and have some bad practices and got to rest up. But it'll be interesting. They're a spread offense, and they kind of run the spread to run the ball. They kind of try to create alleys, and again, the quarterback they got down there, he's a tremendous athlete. So we'll have to kind of hope to go down there and maybe just kind of contain him a little bit, and when we get a chance to put a helmet on him, and when you do run the ball, man, make somebody pay the price for running it. By no means we play dirty, but just let them know that the white shirts on their side are going to hit you every time you touch it, and over the night hopefully wear down a little bit. But hey, he's a tough kid. So we've had it every week. Seems like we took Chaffee's quarterback last night was a tremendous athlete, and we had Scuddy the week before, and then the kids at Kennett the week before that. So it's like there's not a team around here that doesn't have a feature back or quarterback that's just extra athletic. It seems like now. So
sure. And that matchup in the past few years, it's went to Hayti with a sizable advantage, but I think it's going to be a different matchup this year. With the physicality y'all bring, and Hayti's going to be able to be a threat, of course, but with the personnel you've got and the momentum you'll have, I think it's going to be a different matchup this year between the Bulldogs and the Indians. It's going to be fun to watch, and we're going to have that one on here at YHC. We're going to make the trip down there to Hayti with you all, so we'll be looking forward to that matchup this next weekend. It's going to be exciting to watch. And also you've got games ahead, Scott City and East Prairie. That's your next few games there, Scott City, East Prairie.
Yes, sir. We'll go with we got Hayti next week, and the following week will be our homecoming at Portageville, which homecomings are always kind of scary because the kids there's so many distractions. But we'll have Scott City that week, and then we'll have East Prairie the following week at East Prairie, and then we'll come back and line up the regular season with New Madrid County Central. So, which the town of Portageville let me know they'd really enjoy beating their big brother up there to the north. So
Sure,
there's not a big love lost.
That's
between those
haven't
schools,
played
so.
New Madrid in quite some time, going back to what, maybe the 80s?
I think 84. One of my board members, Derek Samples, told me he quarterbacked the last group of Portageville that played him, and I think it was 84, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. If not, it give or take a year there. So, and he let me know that Portageville or New Madrid won that night. So it's been a long time, and they sure would enjoy beating, So I know that'll be a fun week. Arlen and I are pretty good friends, and we go back a long way to high school. So I'll have to call him up and ask for a little, hey, be kind to the first year guy back in it,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, New Madrid's had a tough go of the past few years. It's any program goes through it, but New Madrid not used to going through that. And they've hit a patch there to where they're taking some tough years, but they've actually played well the past few weeks. They dropped one to Charleston last night, a close one, but got a big win over Kennett last week. So I think by the end of the year they'll be pretty strong for teams around here on their schedule.
Yeah, Coach Pixley does. Both he and Aaron both, like I said, we go back to high school together, and Arlen does a great job up there. And New Madrid, they just, every time you walk down the halls, there's athletes everywhere, and I know they're young right now, and like I said, with that little sophomore quarterback, every week he plays, he's just getting better at running that option. Like I said, we'll get him right there before the playoffs get started, so he'll be more than aware of what's going on. So we'll go up, or they'll come down to our place actually, but hopefully we'll be ready. Hope there'll be a big crowd down there, and like I said, of course I know we're looking way down the road, but again, that's just every week there's somebody that seems like there's a rivalry of some sort for you.
Sure.
So that's a good thing about high school football.
Oh yeah. And you're in Class 1, as we mentioned, and different format this year with the playoffs. It's a point system going down with a 9-game season. You only have 8 games. Don't have actually 9, but you've got 8 going down at the end of the year, and they're basically combining districts. And of course, you've had Thayer, Hayti there in the district you traditionally had, but you're going to be including teams like Valley Catholic.
Yeah, let's not. Thayer and Hayti is not enough. Let's go ahead and throw Valley in there with them, and St. Vincent's come along as well, and then just like hey, Chaffee's in there. I can tell you right now, I don't want to play Chaffee again. I don't know how that season falls, but man, make sure we fall some way where they're away from us. Because again, Coach Vickery and Coach Dement and those guys, they do a great job, and their kids are just going to get better. But let's throw in Valley. That's could probably win the Class 3A in many years.
Right.
They've beaten 3A state champs before. So. But that's the good thing about football. Hey, and it's just kind of cliche, but hey, on any given night. If one team's not at their peak and another team is, and a ball falls out and bounces the right way, you may have an opportunity to sneak up and beat somebody. And if you get a chance to play them, hey, that's all we can ask for, just the opportunity, and then we'll see what happens.
Sure. So, looking at that district, certainly going to be a challenge to come down at the end of the year, but I think you're on top of the standings at this point, is that right?
At the moment, yes, sir, at the moment. And it's the one that, and we really not, with the kids, we've not really got caught up in that. I figure, you get to week 8 and 9, you start kind of paying a little more attention to it. But, the one thing you control is if you win.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've been very fortunate. By no means is it direct due to me. It's just we've got great kids and great guys that are working with them, and and things have clicked a little bit. Even though, like I said, even though we didn't play real great last night, we were fortunate to get a win. But people can't pass you up in points if you continue to win.
Sure.
So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. So it's been a great start for the Portageville Bulldogs so far, 4-0, and it's probably been some time since they've been 4-0 there at Portageville.
I want to say, and I'm sure I'll get a phone call correcting me today, but I want to say it's been 10, 12 years since we've been jumped out to 4-0. And again, like I said, I can't say enough about the kids. When we took the job over in January and started meeting with the kids and started going to the weight room in the afternoons, and then this summer when we had our 25 days, we averaged 25 kids a day in the weight room, averaged 25 showing up, and then like I said, we're dressing out about 33, 34. So, the commitments come from the kids, and it's come from their parents that have worked around our schedule and have been so gracious and kind to help us, and again, the assistant coaches we've had, and just the community in general. it's great when you walk down somewhere and people are just telling you how proud they are of you, the kids, and it just makes it really enjoyable. It makes you go, hey, this was the right thing to do and get back in, because I knew I missed it the entire time I was out. But even after I took it, I kind of second guessed myself a little bit and go, man, as you mentioned earlier, has this game passed you up, or you're gonna go over there and make a fool of yourself? And I didn't want to waste a year of Portageville's time, but to this point, it's just been really enjoyable and really great, for sure.
That's great. So anyone out there want to send some emails? I know we got some eager people out there want to send some questions our way. sports@yhctv.com. Send them on to us, and we'll get your questions here on the air, or any kind of comments or shout-outs for Coach Bullock here. Got some fans out there, I think, from the old school district. I think is going to be sending some our way. And I'll go ahead and spoil it. It's Seth McBroom. Yeah, he's congratulating the Dogs, and they can pay for running the ball. You got a great line over there at Portageville, and Seth McBroom, the basketball coach there at Holcomb, and your time there at Holcomb, being able to spend with Seth, and they got a pretty good thing going there at Holcomb.
Oh yeah, Seth does a great job, and Seth, I grew really close to Seth. The 4 or 5 years we worked there together, and he's a great young man. He comes from a great family, and I consider Seth to be family. He and Zach McDaniel, that's the volleyball coach. I kind of consider them to be like younger brothers to me, and that's as excited as I was to go to Portageville, this year, and not just those two, but just that entire community and that school district. It was tough. There's, when you think of a football coach, you try to think of a guy that's kind of a tough guy and stuff. But man, I'm not gonna lie, there was a couple of tears shed there when the last day got there, and I kind of left for the last time and knew I wasn't going back. And you start thinking back to all the people that you've grown close to. Man, that makes it tough. And again, like I said, it'll be interesting. What's going to be tough is when basketball season rolls around. I want to see success for Seth, but at the same point, man, I've got a group of kids now that these are my boys, and most of them play basketball, and and I got to root for those Dogs, but I want Seth to win all the rest of them,
sure,
but just except when he plays those teams in blue, so. But no, Seth, and like I said, all those folks at Holcomb, man, I can't say enough. They constantly stay in contact with me and wish me luck. I feel like we've got Portageville, West over there on Friday nights with the folks rooting for me. So,
yeah.
And in turn, like I said, we root for Holcomb, and as long as they're not playing the blue, I just root for nothing but great things for Mr. McMillan and that whole district. So.
Sure. Yeah, it'll be fun to watch when it comes to basketball time. It's going to be coming down to probably right there. A great matchup between Portageville and Holcomb, I imagine. Great teams coming back for those two schools, so you're probably going to have to make that dreaded game.
Hey, I'd love to go up here to Bloomfield at Christmas time, maybe on a Saturday night, and get to sit there, and hopefully those two get opposite and maybe make it to that championship game, because, again, they're both very deserving programs. Coach Irby, he does a great job with our boys over at Portageville, and that would tickle me to death, to see a 1-2 finish up there, and the Bulldogs holding up that first place trophy, and Holcomb there with the second place and a nail biter that makes everybody happy and go, hey, great game. And like I said, it does put a big grin on my face, and it make me feel proud of my present and my past.
Sure. You got a long tenure. You go Malden, Holcomb, Portageville, and you're making your way around the boot hill.
I need to try to stay at Portageville for a while. I hope to do well enough to have a long tenure at Portageville.
Right. Well, you're off to a good start, so
yes,
it's good to see, and glad you're back in the game. And after a while, it's good. It's good to have our coaches in the game, and staying with the game, because it's fun. Being around the kids, and sticking around to Southeast Missouri sports. It's a lot of fun. It's good to seeing you having success and back in it and doing well.
Well, I appreciate that very much. Again, like I said, community's been super. I would like to wish good luck today. Our girls softball team, Coach Hawkins and Coach Cook's got the girls playing up in a tournament around Cape. And they've gotten off to a great start. And also need to wish Coach Branscombe and Coach Irby, who's our volleyball coaches. They've done a great job with our volleyball. We're young in volleyball this year, but the coaches I've had to work with outside of football have been tremendously supportive of what we're doing, and I think we all pull together and all want to see each other do well. So I would like to get a little plug in for them, and Coach Samples and our cheerleaders are getting ready to go up to state. So there's a lot of good things at Portageville going on. I'm just proud to be a part of that community. It's like I said, it's been a great start. So.
Sure, good deal. And we're going to be doing some high school softball next week down in Portageville with Donovan. So
yes, sir.
Something to look forward to down there. New venture for us going and
Yes,
doing
sir.
some high school softball. Portageville's got a great team this year. So
They've done extremely well. Little Jenna Hawkins is a senior at Pitches. She's Coach Hawkins' daughter, and Jenna's, she's a good little athlete. And like I said, our girls go out and compete. I think they're like 7 or 8-2 at this point, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And first year play fall softball, and they've just been done a tremendous job because it's a little more intense in the fall than it is in the spring. So again, Coach Hawkins, Coach Cook have done a great job with that.
good deal. We wish them the best luck going forward as well. So Jeff, we appreciate your time with us today.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's always
again
good
for all
to
you do.
have you on and talk about all the sports in the area. And we'll be looking forward to going down to Haytie with you all next Friday night, seeing how that matchup turns out. Should be a great game, and good luck with the rest of the season going forward.
I appreciate it very much. And again, thanks for all you do for high school sports in general.
Sure,
So,
we have fun.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
And that's Jeff Bullock, Portageville football coach. Appreciate him being with us today. And we've got plenty more, so stick around. We'll be back.
At Glen St. and Kennett, we have a lot full of inventory and the best rebates of the year. I'm Danny Ford, owner of Glen St. We just want the opportunity to talk to you about your next car or truck. The rebates are the best of the year and interest rates the lowest to work with. It's a great time to buy, and our people are excited to help you make the right choice. We realize you have a lot of dealers to choose from, but I can assure you no one appreciates your business like we do. Glen St. and Kennett, and God bless our troops.
When I was a kid, we didn't have all these wireless devices. We only had one computer plugged into the wall, and we were grateful.
Technology changes fast. Stay ahead with blazing fast internet speeds from New Wave Communications. New Wave delivers the internet with incredible speeds, up to 50 megabits per second. Pick the package that's right for you. New Wave, the area's fastest internet, period.
Kids today don't know how good they have it.
We still have a couple of days practice still coming. We need to tighten up on a few things. First game always gets you concerned with a few things here or there. And I think we're going to be okay, but we just need a couple more days to tighten up. Kicking game, trick plays, onside.
Back, we didn't mean to show that, but no problem. But yeah, we're going to move on to some other things now. We'll start off with the state rankings in Missouri football. We'll get to for this week. And starting off with Class 1 in high school football, Hamilton still at number 1. Salisbury moves up to number 2 this week. 3, Tipton. 4, Valley Catholic, familiar team there in the top of the state rankings at number 4. 5, Miller. 6, Wellington Napoleon. 7, Skyline. 8, South Shelby. 9, South Harrison. And 10, Westron. In Class 2, we've got Maplewood Richmond Heights moving up to number 1. I think they were at 3 last week. They move up to number 1 this week. 2, Mountain View Liberty. 3, Lafayette County. 4, Blair Oaks. 5, Clark County. 6, Crothersville. They're in the top 10 this week. 7, Holden. 8, Lawson. 9, South Callaway. And 10, Mountain Grove. And Crothersville was, I think, upwards to 4. Taking that loss to Mountain View Liberty pushed them on down the pole a little bit, but still they're in the top 10 in Class 2. Now in Class 3, we've got John Burrell still at number 1. 2, Maryville. 3, Cassville. 4, Oak Grove. 5, Centralia. 6, St. Genevieve. 7, Aurora. 8, Soldan. 9, Hogan Prep. And 10, Potosi. And in Class 4, Webb City on top at number 1. Pretty much permanent number 1 there for Class 4, Webb City. 2, Jeff City, Helias. 3, Savannah. 4, Harrisonville. 5, Liberty North. 6, Sykeston. Sykeston Bulldogs are in the top 10. 7, Hannibal. 8, Hillcrest. 9, St. Francis Borgia. And 10, Westminster. Now in Class 5, we've got Kirkwood at number 1. 2, Lee Summit West. 3, Fort Osage. 4, Rockwood Summit. 5, Staley. 6, Webster Grove. 7, Fort Zumwalt South. 8, Hazelwood East. 9, Nixa. And 10, Ozark. And those are your state rankings for the state of Missouri and high school football. And we've got some local teams in there. We had a few drop out, I think. Actually, no, didn't have anybody drop out in that poll this week. But Crothersville still there in the top 10 in Class 2. Valley Catholic mainstay always there in Class 1. Sykeston staying there in Class 4, and Sykeston's had some tough games. They dropped one earlier in the year, but they should remain competitive for the remainder of this year in Class 4. And actually, they've got a game today, this afternoon, at the Edward Jones Dome, the home of the St. Louis Rams. They take on Farmington, so that's always a big matchup there in Class 4 that they'll be taking on today there in St. Louis. And let's move on to some volleyball rankings for the state of Missouri. And we'll start off in Class 1, and Valley Catholic, they're number 1. 2, the Bernie Lady Mules, they're number 2. I think they were number 10 last week, move all the way up to number 2, but they have a rough week this week, having, I think, 3 losses this past week, the Leopold, Advance, and Dexter from Thursday night. So we'll probably see them slip in the poll a little bit this week, but still a talented team there. And Bernie, hopefully they'll do well for the remainder of the year. 3, Winona. 4, Lutheran out of Kansas City. 5, Osceola. 6, Pierce City. 7, Liberal. 8, Advance. We'll probably see them edge up in the poll this week with some nice victories. 9, St. Mary's, and 10, Lesterville. So those are your Class 1 rankings. Moving on to Class 2, we've got Fatima at number 1, 2, Clever, 3, St. Paul Lutheran, 4, Holden, 5, El Dorado Springs, 6, Mountain Grove, 7, Bishop LeBond, 8, Mountain View Liberty. And we didn't have any 9 or 10 rankings in that one this week. I don't know if it's just a clerical mistake or what, but we didn't have any for 9 and 10. Class 3, we've got Pleasant Hill at number 1, 2, Logan Rogersville, 3, Lutheran South, 4, St. Francis Borgia, 5, St. Pius out of Festus, 6, Westminster, 7, O'Hare, 8, Cape Notre Dame, 9, Reed Spring, and 10, Odessa. In Class 4, we've got Lafayette at number 1, 2, St. Joseph's Academy, 3, Lee Summit West, 4, Francis Howell, 5, St. Teresa's Academy, 6, Ozark, 7, Blue Springs, 8, Kickapoo, 9, Marquette out of St. Louis, and 10, Nixa. And those are your volleyball state rankings for the state of Missouri this week. And we've got some mainstays in there you're used to seeing over the past few years. Cape Notre Dame, they're in Class 4, or Class 3, I believe that was in Class 3. Bernie at number 2 might slip a little bit. Advancing that top 10 might move up this week with a few impressive victories. And Valley Catholic, they're in Class 1. They've been there over the past few years. But might see Dexter move into that top 10 this week. They've had some impressive victories over the past week, and might see them edge up into that top 10 for this next week's poll. So we'll see how that turns out for the next week. And we're going to take a break and come back with a college football preview for today, give you a preview of some of our local teams and who their opponents for this week are, and touch a bit on the pro football games as well. So we'll come back with that coming up.
Welcome to NFL Total Access,
the show that takes you inside the locker room and down on the field. With inside access to all 32 teams all year long. NFL Total Access, Monday through Saturday, only on NFL Network.
NFL Network, where football season never ends.
In addition to unlimited calling, New Wave telephone users have a wide range of great phone features available. And now with the help of New Wave Internet, they're even easier to use thanks to our convenient online phone manager. Just log on to your MyWave portal. Now phone features like call forwarding can be set up instantly from any computer. Reliably activate or deactivate your call forwarding, and even set your home phone to ring once when a call is forwarded. Home telephone service made even better with New Wave Communications. Call today.
And let's take a look at those college football matchups taking place today. And we'll start off with Virginia Tech, 13th ranked Virginia Tech at Pittsburgh. And we've got top-ranked Alabama at Arkansas today. And Arkansas coming off a disappointing loss to Louisiana Monroe last week, and it's no better this week. Tyler Wilson likely out for this game due to, I believe, some concussion He's going to be out, the start quarterback for the Razorbacks, so doesn't fare well for the Razorbacks today. They got off to a pretty rough start, losing to Louisiana Monroe. We're 8th nationally ranked and now unranked, and going to go up against a tough Alabama Crimson Tide team today, so tough break for the Razorbacks so far this year. 18th ranked Florida at 23rd ranked Tennessee. It's a big game in the SEC to look forward to today. Also, 2nd ranked USC at 21st ranked Stanford. 20th ranked Notre Dame at 10th ranked Michigan State. Had some great games over the years, so really look forward to that game today. 14th ranked Texas at Ole Miss. Houston at 22nd ranked UCLA. Arizona State at Missouri. Big game for the Tigers today there in Columbia. And the local teams we have, Arkansas State's at Nebraska. So a big test for the Arkansas State Red Wolves today. They got a victory over Memphis last week, so hopefully they can carry that into Nebraska today and be competitive with the Cornhuskers. And also a local rivalry between Seymour and Southern Illinois. That game will take place today in Carbondale. So look forward to the Redhawks taking on the Salukis today in Carbondale. And take a look at some pro matchups for the weekend in NFL football. And we'll start off with the Texans at the Jaguars in an AFC South matchup. Also the Browns at the Bengals. It's an AFC North matchup. The Chiefs at the Bills. Ravens at the Eagles. Nice matchup between those two teams. Very competitive. The Cardinals at the Patriots. The Saints at the Panthers. An NFC South matchup. Redskins at the Rams in St. Louis. And Robert Griffin III going to return to the Dome as he had a great game last week in the Superdome in New Orleans. He'll try to do the same in St. Louis. And the Rams will have their hands full with the Redskins. Also the Jets at the Steelers. The Lions at the 49ers. A big NFC matchup there between those two teams. You might see them in the latter part of the playoffs this year. And 49ers looked awful good in their past few weeks, and they'll look to do the same against the Lions. Or they looked good last week in their game against, the Packers were in week 1, but they've off to a good start. But the Lions coming on here in the past few years, so we'll look forward to a great matchup between them and the 49ers for tomorrow. And also in Monday Night Football, it'll be the Broncos at the Falcons. The Broncos successful in their week 1 over the Steelers. Peyton Manning in his debut looked like he picked up right where he left off from 2 years ago, and got a tough opponent in the Atlanta Falcons for Monday Night Football. And those are some games to look forward to this weekend. And also, as we mentioned earlier, with Jeff Bullock, we'll be doing some high school softball this week. This coming Thursday, we'll be down in Portageville as the Portageville softball team takes on Doniphan. And we're going to be down there to tape that game Thursday afternoon and have that ready for replay probably starting Friday and into the weekend. We'll be replaying that, and it'll be available at our website at yhctv.com. So look forward to that. High school softball here on YHC down in Portageville. So we'll look forward to that, and hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. So be sure to look forward to that later on at the latter part of this next week. So venturing out, doing some more things, are always adding to the lineup here on YHC, so we'll look forward to doing some high school softball starting this next week. And that's pretty much all we have for you today. And I'll be looking forward to some more football. We didn't have any football this past week. It's an oddity that we don't have football in each week of the season, but it just turns out all the teams that we cover are on the road and had a night off, but that just gave us more time to prepare for the next week. And we'll have games this coming Friday night. We'll have the Dexter Bearcats hosting the Kennett Indians. That'll be live here on YHC next Friday night. And also we'll be down in Hayti for the Portageville Hayti game. We'll be bringing back the replay for the weekend. So be sure to look forward to those contests later on this next week here on YHC. And that's all we have for you today. We appreciate you for tuning in as always. Look forward to having you back next week for another show, another great guest here on the Roundtable, the only sports show of its kind in our area. So be sure to be back with us next week, and we'll be looking forward to having you back. And until then, I'm Tyler Widener. Have yourself a great week. Take care.